inequalities. An inequality is just when you have two expressions connected by one of these inequality symbols. Or you can have three expressions joined by two inequality symbols. Okay, here's an expression, and here's the symbol. So it's just expression joined by an inequality symbol. So that's what inequalities are. Okay, so I'm just going to go over some things first. We're going to come back to this. When we have greater than or less than with no equal signs, see there's no equal signs here, we use open circles and we use round brackets. When we have equal signs with our less than and greater than signs, we use closed circles and square brackets, and when we use infinity, we always have round brackets. We'll come back to this. Okay, so how to read inequalities. So we always read from the letter to the number. Okay, and when we don't always have to, but for this book it makes it easier if you read from the letter to the number. So here's x, I'm going this way, and when I travel this way I touch the big side of this inequality. So because I touch the big side, this is x is bigger than 5. Okay, here's my letter, here's my number, my variable. When I go from the variable to the number, I hit the small side first, so this says x is smaller than 7. Okay, you have to know this. So let's go over just a few of them. We go from the letter, the variable, to the number. So I touch the small sides first, so it says x is smaller than 2. Variable, letter to the number. X is, I touch the big side first, x is bigger than 4. Letter to the number, I touch the big side first, x is bigger than 3. Letter to number, I touch the small side first, x is smaller than 9. Letter to number, I touch the small side first, so x is smaller than 8. X, I always go from the letter to the number, I'm traveling this way. I touch the big sign, the big side of the sign first, so x is bigger than 5. Okay, so always go from the letter to the number, and whatever side you touch first, that tells you what the name is. X is bigger than 5 here, x is smaller than 8. Okay, so here I go from the letter to the number, I touch the big side first, so it says x is greater than 5. So here you can use the word greater, bigger, or more than. Oops, you can't see. You can use the word greater, bigger, or more than. Okay, and here less than or smaller than. So here x is greater than 5. So we put a circle at 5 and we say all the x's have to be bigger than 5. Okay, so I'm going bigger than 5 all the way to infinity. But it doesn't say x is equal to 5. It just says all the x's bigger than 5. That means we don't want 5. It's only the things that are bigger. So if we look back up here, if I don't have the equal sign, I have to use an open circle and I have to use a round bracket. So go back down here. Open circle means I don't want the 5. Okay, and then I go from 5 all the way to infinity. And because I don't want 5, the round bracket tells me I don't want 5. And what does that mean? If I take the number 6 and I put it here, is 6 bigger than 5? Yes, that's true. If I take 7 and put it here, is 7 bigger than 5? It's true. What about 7.5? If I put 7.5 here, is 7 bigger than 5? Yes, true. So anything here, if I substitute into this inequality, will make it true. If I take these numbers here, let's take a number from here, let's pick 2. Is 2 bigger than 5? No. Is 0 bigger than 5? No. So all of these things, if I substitute them into this inequality, make it false. The problem area is the border, 5. If I substitute 5 into here, is 5 bigger than 5? No, 5 is not bigger than 5. It's the same. That's why it's an open circle. We don't want it because this does not make it true. This is false. So this is not included, okay, in the graph. So Open bracket means we don't want it. Open bracket means there's no equal sign here. Okay? So let's read it from the letter to the number. I touch the small side first. X is less than 5. So I have to go less than 5 all the way that way to negative infinity. So when I want to write my interval notation, this, I have this on my left and the 5 on my right, so I keep it the same. For infinity, we always use round bracket. Infinity, always use rounded brackets. Okay? And do we want 5? Nope, because there's no equal sign. We don't want 5, so it has to be a round bracket. Okay? So when there's 2, a compound inequality, we have to read from the letter to the number. So this way, touch the big side first. X is bigger than 5, or X is greater than 5. So I go, oh, X has to be bigger than 5. Then I read this way. I touch the small side first. X is smaller than 8. So it says X has to be bigger than 5, but wait, it has to be smaller than 8. So everything between here. But they don't have equal signs. So they have to be open circles because it means we don't want those numbers. Okay? So if I take, say, 6 and substitute it in here, is 6 bigger than 5? Yep. Is 6 less than 8? Yep. If I take 6.5, is 6.5 bigger than 5? Yes. Is 6.5 bigger than 8? Yes. So all of these things will make this inequality true, and all of these things will make it false, and all of the things over here will make it false. But now I want to do the brackets, the interval notation. It go everything from 5 to 8 we want, but we don't want 5 and we don't want 8. So we have to put round brackets. Those round brackets say we don't want those numbers. Okay? Let's look at the next one. So I read it from the letter, the variable, to the number. So I'm reading it this way first. I touch the big sign first. So X is bigger than 0. So here's 0. X is bigger than 0. Then I read from the letter to the number. I touch the small side first. X is smaller than 8. No, that's a 9. X is smaller than 9. So it says X has to be bigger than 0, but smaller than 9. Oh, wait. Smaller than or equal to 9. So because it says yes, we want 9, we color it in. So we color it in, that says we want it. When we don't color it in, we don't want it. This is called an open circle. This is called a closed circle because we colored it in. So we want everything between 0 and 9, but not 0. So if we want 9, we put a square bracket, and if we don't want 0, we put a round bracket. Okay? So let's read this one. Letter to number, letter to number. X is smaller than 4, all the way to negative infinity. Do we want 4? Let's check. Yes, because there's an equal sign. So it says X is smaller than or equal to 4. So we close the circle because we want it. Now we read it from the letter to the number. X is bigger than 9. X is bigger than 9. But do we want 9? No, there's no equal sign here. So I keep the circle open. We don't want it. So when we have two groups of lines, we have to have two sets of brackets. So from negative infinity to 4, and you keep them in the same order. If this is on the left and this is on the right, they stay left, right, left, right, left, right. So infinity always has a round bracket, and 4 we want it, so it's closed. Now we have to go from 9 all the way up to infinity, but infinity we always use a round bracket, and we don't want 9, so I have to use a round bracket. So that says we don't want it. And when we have more than one set of brackets or intervals, we have to add them together, and we add them together by saying, we put them together by using a U for union. So this union that, okay? So anything here or anything here makes this true. Anything here makes it false. So let's look at this one. Letter to the number, letter to the number. So this says X is bigger than 2. So we have to go bigger than 2. Do we want 2? X is bigger than or equal to 2. Yes, we want 2, so we have to close the circle, color it in. Now it says X has to be smaller than 5. Do we want 5? Yes, this represents an equal sign. So it says X has to be bigger than 2, but less than 5. Bigger than or equal to 2, less than or equal to 5. So it's all of this. And we want the 2 and we want the 5. And when we want the 2 and the 5, we have to use square brackets. We can't write it this way, backwards. Okay? You can't write the 5 first and then the 2. You have to go in order. If this is on the left and this is on the right, you have to write that on the left and that on the right. Okay? So square brackets means we want the number. Round brackets means we don't want the number. And infinity and negative infinity always have round brackets. Okay? So let's just do a couple from the next page. So we always read from the letter to the number, so we go that way. So that says X has to be, I touch the big side first, so X is bigger than 8. And you don't have to use bigger, you can say greater than or more than. It means the same thing. Bigger than 8, so here's 8. Bigger than, is that to the right or the left? Bigger. Bigger. Bigger is to the right, because we're making the number bigger. Do I close the circle in? Do I want 8? I don't want 8 because there's no equal sign here. So because I don't want it, I keep it open, and I do that. And then the notation is, it's from 8, it's from 8 all the way to infinity. Infinity always has a round bracket. I don't want 8, so it's going to be a round bracket because I don't want 8. Okay? Let's do number 4. No, let's do number 5. So we read it from the letter to the number, then the letter to the number. So here, X is smaller than 8. So here's 8. Smaller than 8. But do I want 8? No, because look, there's no equal sign, so I keep it open. I don't want it. Now X is bigger than 10. Just wait, here's 10. Bigger than 10. Do I want 10? Yes. So I close the circle. So let's read that again. X has to be smaller than 8. So it's everything this way. Let's color that in. And then X has to be bigger than or equal to 10. So then it goes this way. But I color it in because we want 10. We don't want 8. Now we have 2 intervals. So this goes from negative infinity to 8. Negative infinity to 8. Do I want 8? No. Round bracket. Infinity? Always round bracket. Union, because I have 2 of them. And then do I want 10? Yes, so square bracket. And infinity always has a round bracket. Okay? Let's do number 7. Letter to the number, letter to the number. X is bigger than or equal to 0. Okay, bigger than or equal to 0. Equal to, equal to. Do I want 0? Yes, because there's an equal sign. So color it in. X is, I touch the small side first, X is smaller than 5. Do I want 5? Yes. X is smaller than or equal to 5. I want 5 because there's an equal sign, so I color it in. So it says X is bigger than 1 but smaller than 5. So it's everything here. Do I want 0? Yep. Do I want 5? Yep. So if I want these numbers, I have to use square brackets. Square brackets mean I want it. There. Okay. So now let's do some practice. It says graph the solution set. So we're going to graph it and write the inequality in interval notation. That's interval notation. Okay. So it says the monthly oil production in the GCC. So oil production is P. So P, we have to go from the letter to the number. I touch the big side first. P is greater than or equal to 2 million barrels. 2 million. Bigger. Is bigger to the right or the left? P is greater than 2. Greater than, bigger than. Bigger than is to the right. So this way. Do I color in? Do I close the circle? Do I want to? Yes, because there's an equal sign here, so close that in. So everything here is bigger than 2 million barrels, so it goes towards infinity. So 2 is first, then infinity. Infinity is always a round bracket. Do I want to? Yes, because there's an equal sign. It's closed, so I have to use a square bracket. Okay. Let's do number 5. Property prices is represented by P. Property prices in Qatar, where P is letter to the number. I touch the big side first. P is bigger than 500,000 riyals. There's 500. P is bigger than. Bigger than. Is that going to be the right or the left? Bigger than. Yeah, it's the right. Okay. Do I color it in? Do I close it? Nope. There's no equal sign here, so I keep it open. So this goes towards infinity. So I go 500,000 or 500,000 to infinity. Infinity's always round. 500,000, do we want it? There's no equal sign, so I do round bracket. Round bracket means I don't want that number. Okay.